Good morning students, how you all? I hope all are healthy and safe at home. Students, today I am going to take English class by 7th standard. This is the 12th session. In this session, we are going to learn a lesson named A Tribute to Netaji. They give us one great reading activity about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. You might have know about the great Indian freedom fighter Subhash Chandra Bose. Here, this story is about Subhash Chandra Bose, very well known called him as Netaji. In the late 30s and early 40s of the last century, we fought for our freedom. Two great leaders inspired us to fight: Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. For early 30s and 40s, two freedom fighters well named. One person is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, and one more person is Subhash Chandra Bose. Each led us in his own way. Bose asked Indians to give him their blood and he would give them freedom. Gandhi promised freedom without violence. Here, Subhash Chandra Bose, he chose the way in a violence, that is, might be in a violence way. Because if you give blood to your country, you will get freedom. Like that he used to say. But Gandhiji promised you freedom without violence. Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs observed Subhash and joined the Indian National Army in the thousands. They called him Netaji. Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs, all the persons in India, they come to the National Army in thousands together. They called him Netaji. All these persons, they called by the name Netaji. Women knew how Netaji had them in high regard. They too joined the Jhansi Lakshmibai regiment under the leadership of the fiery and beautiful Lakshmi Swaminathan. It was an all-woman army. Now, one more army regiment, Lakshmibai regiment, that is Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai, who also fought for the freedom of India. The now very popular Jai Hind and Delhi Chalo were their war cry. Women also, they made one army. Okay. They popularly known as Jai Hind and Delhi Chalo, their popular war cry. When the British put on trial 3 INA officers, Shah Nawaz, a Muslim, Sahagal, a Hindu, and Dillon, a Sikh, India exposed in war. Nehru said on 24th December 1945, the INA trial has created a mass upheaval. Sir Cloud Action led the British Commander-in-Chief said that Indians adored the INA and its officers as national heroes. Now, here the commander, who is British commander, Sir Claudia Achinleck. He said that Indians adored the INA and its officers as national heroes. It is showing as officers as national heroes. This is the general opinion held in India, not only by the public but by the quite a considerable part of the Indian army as well. In an article published on 15th February 1946, Gandhi said, "The hypnotism of the Indian National Army has cast a spell on us." Here, INM is Indian Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The lesson that Netaji and his army brings us to in oneself sacrifice, unity, irrespective of class and community and discipline. 4 months before that, on August 18, 1945, Subhas had died in an accident in which his plane had caught fire. This is the reading activity. We come to know what is INA was a freedom fighters who named Netaji. Subhash Chandra Bose as Netaji. Now I'll start the lesson. In the history of India's freedom struggle, the place of Subhash Chandra Bose is unique. It is unique. He was the leader who thought of fighting the brute force of the British by armed force. They treat the persons in India very brutally. So he decided to fight against them. He had a wonderful organizing capacity. He could raise a modern army of about 75,000 men and women. He inspired them with the intense patriotic fervor and a burning desire to free their enslaved motherland. Now, he wanted to give freedom to the motherland. So, he organized a army with both men and women. In that time only, he organized more than 75,000 members. In that, men and women both are there. Subhash Chandra Bose belongs to an educated and prosperous family. He was educated in England and had traveled widely all over Europe. He educated in England, Cambridge University, in that university he studied, and he traveled all over Europe. He looked at India from an international perspective. Now he moved to other country, to foreign country. In that view only he is looking the India, as he had a deeply spiritual nature. His quest for truth and the right Guru had taken him to each and every corner of the country. Now he is very spiritual nature and quest for truth. At last he made up his mind to follow the teaching of Swami Vivekananda and Aurobindo Ghosh in the spiritual sphere and Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das in politics. In spiritual way, he inspired with the Swami Vivekananda and Aurobindo Ghosh. In a spiritual way, he inspired, and in political way, he inspired with the Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das in that time only. Subhash Chandra had a special regard for his Muslim countrymen. Some of his essentials like Mahipati Bose and Gopalnath Bose had held the offices of ministry and naval commanders under the Muslim rulers of Bengal. Here they organized regards for Muslim countrymen also. The quarters in which he lived, says Bose in his autobiography, he lived in a commander's houses in Bengal, was prominently a Muslim one, and our neighbors were mostly Muslims. I cannot remember ever to have looked upon Muslims as different from ourselves in any way, except that they go to pray in a mosque. Now he is saying we are all equal. We are going to pray for temples. Muslims, they go to a mosque to offer the praise. That is the only difference. Hindu, Muslim, both are same. Subhas was born at Cuttack. Now he born in Cuttack, Odisha. on January 23, 1897. He born in Qatar, which comes in Odisha state, on January 23rd, 1897. His father, Janaki Nath Bose, was a famous lawyer. His father name is Janaki Nath Bose. He is a lawyer. Bose was a brilliant student. He had very broad-minded views on freedom and other social issues, and his hungry soul was not satisfied with textbooks alone. He was so brilliant that he is very broad-minded also. He is interested in freedom also and other social issues. His hungry soul was not satisfied with textbooks alone. Okay. Describing his childhood, he said, "In my infancy, I was brought into touch with the English people, English education and English culture. After that, I went back to our culture, both classical and modern." He cultivated both modern and classical. Bose had a rebellious and independent spirit, and that was apparent from his earliest days. In the Presidency College, Calcutta, he organized a students' strike to demonstrate against an English professor who had insulting pushed away an Indian student. That time only he started strikes when he was studying in Presidency College, Calcutta. He organized the students and he tried to demonstrate against the English professor who pushed the Indian student. For this, Bose was expelled from the college. From that time only he started. After a year, he was allowed to join the Scottish Church College in Calcutta, where he secured a first class in the BA examination. After that, he went to the Scottish Church College in Calcutta to higher education. He got the first class in BA, that is, he got the degree. Subhash left for England on September 15, 1919 in order to study and appear at the Indian Civil Services examination. He wanted to join the Indian Civil Services. He went to England and he studied the Indian Civil Service examination. He wanted to pass that exam. After a year, he came out successfully and stood forth in order to merit, but his conscience would not allow him to serve the alien rulers even as a high executive. So he resigned from the ICS and returned to India. He wanted to join the Indian Civil Services and he wanted to pass the exam, but the conditions are not supporting him. That's why he resigned there and he came back to India from England. Now Bose wanted to chalk out the future course of his life. He had long discussion with Mahatma Gandhi and C.R. Das. He came to India and he concentrated on freedom from the British. He had many discussions with Gandhiji and C.R. Das. He took Das as his mentor and settled down as a principal of National College at Calcutta. But Bose gave up his job when Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement. When Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement, he was arrested by the British for joining the movement. That time he joined the British people, they arrested. After his release, Bose formed the Swaraj Party and was appointed the editor of the party's general forward. Now, after coming from a jail, he formed a Swaraj party and journal forward. Bose became the executive officer of the Calcutta Corporation in 1924. He formed one new party, that is Swaraj Party. From that, he became an executive officer of the Calcutta Corporation in 1924 and gained valuable experience of planning and practical administration. After being a corporator, he gained a valuable experience and planning and practical administration also he collected. Soon the activities of the Swaraj Party were formed. Now he improved and made changes in his party, Swaraj Party. Unbearable by the British on account of which Bose was and out of jail repeatedly and fell ill many times. By seeing all these things, British people, they are not tolerating and many times they put him in jail, and by this way repeatedly they are putting in a jail. Now he fell ill many times. Bose was a great thinker as well as a man of vision and action. Not only thinking, he take into action also. Subhas made such an impact on the Congress that he was elected twice as a president of Indian National Congress in 1938 and 39. Twice they elected him as a because of his views for freedom, the freedom for a motherland from a British. The Congress government, the Congress president will become a Congress president twice, 1938 and 39. For the two sessions held at Haripura, Gujarat and Tripura. In his presidential address, he talked not only of freedom but also reconstruction, the need of planning by setting up a planning commission and of the gradual socialization of the entire agriculture and industrial system. He urged strongly that it was the right time to give an ultimatum of British government for complete Swaraj. Now, he planned so much planning commission and gradual socialization also. He wanted first a government for complete Swaraj. He asked for release from British government. Britain was engaged in the World War, and so Gandhiji and Nehru were of the opinion that the Congress should not take advantage of Britain difficulties. Now, in that time, Second World War started. But Bose had strong views and advocated total freedom. Now, in that time also, Bose had a view that we will get a freedom. He traveled throughout the country to organize public opinion against the war effort. So, he was arrested on July 2nd, 1940 at Madras. Now, he collected opinion from different states. So, he traveled around. On November 26, 1940, Bose went on hunger strike to protest against the ill treatment of the prisoners. Now, they are treating so badly in a prison, the Indian person, the Indian people by a British government. For that, he went for hunger strike. As his condition suddenly worsened, he was released but was kept under police surveillance. That time he was very ill. For that reason, they released him, but they kept under police surveillance, police vigilance. Bose escaped from the British and reached Kabul, and from there he went to Berlin via Moscow. Now, Subhash Chandra Bose escaped from British and reached to Kabul. He went to Kabul. From there to Berlin Berlin via Moscow. The whole country was thrilled when his voice was heard over Berlin radio. When Japan entered the World War, Subhas left for Japan. He went to Singapore and took over the leadership of the Indian independence movement. Now started moving one country to the another. Japan, Singapore, and Berlin, Kabul, all these places he went and he started Indian independent movement. Subhas went to Southeast Asia and organized the Indian National Army. Now he come to Southeast and organized the INA to fight against the British. Here also he organized the army who can fight against the British for freedom for motherland. The Indian soldiers and civilians at once declared their allegiance to him and began to call him Netaji. He gave them the inspiring call of Jai Hind and Dilli Chalo. While launching the war, Netaji went on air on 6th July 1944 and sought Gandhi's blessings in the following words. Father of our nation, in his holy war of Indian liberation, we ask for your blessings and good wishes. He went to meet the Gandhiji on 6th July 1944. The INA fought so well that it soon liberated about 3,200 square kilometers of Indian territory from the well-entrenched British Army. 3,200 square kilometers they make as a free place for, that is the place occupied by the British. They got freedom, but it was soon beset by various difficulties such as lack of communication and food, rigorous of the monsoon and breakdown of supplies. On the other hand, the Japanese forces were withdrawn as the war went badly for them. But INA refused to retreat. Here, when they got the freedom, they found many difficulties of communication, lack of communication, food and monsoon and breakdown of supplies. All these difficulties they found there. And INA refused to retreat with the result that thousands of soldiers were captured by the British forces. They were disarmed and court-martialed. Jawaharlal Nehru himself organized and conducted their defense. Ultimately, the government released them. Now, thousands of people they got by the British forces. Now, Jawaharlal Nehru organized and conducted their defense so that all the people who were caught by the British government, they are all released. Netaji boarded a Japanese aircraft for Tokyo on August 18, 1945. The plane landed in Formosa at noon, and according to the Japanese sources, it caught fire while taking off. While it landed, the fire has been occurred in a plane. Netaji was badly burned, but managed to come out of the plane. Netaji was badly burned. Japanese, they are saying. He was rushed to a hospital where he died the same night. He went to that condition also. He was so brave that he come out from the plane and went to hospital. And the same night he died in a hospital. Like that, Japanese sources are saying. It is amazing how much Subhas Chandra Bose was able to achieve and accomplish in his life for 48 years. He lived only for 48 years, but he struggled so many things. Okay, he taken so many decisions. He made so many changes, and he made so many arms. He strides and he organizes so officer. He is a brilliant student. He might have been very in a high position as a ICS officer in that time only. But he resigned all that and he sacrificed his life for motherland. But here preferred a life of trials and tribulations as a fighter for his country freedom. He refused all the things, he left all the things for country's freedom, for motherland. His proud and independent spirit mocked at ill health and ill fortune. He was a Joe as well as a thinker and fighter who never submitted a defeat. In life, he was a natural leader of men who inspired immense devotion of loyalty. In death, he became a legend. People refuse to believe that Netaji is dead. Now also, so many people they are refused because someone saying he is living somewhere. Perhaps they are right. For mysteries never die. Okay, students, this is about the lesson. A tribute to Netaji. A tribute to Netaji. Okay, students, now new words in this lesson. Unique. Unique means being the only one its type. You can't compare with the other, only one person. Brute. Cruel big, cruel or strong. Further, spirit. Prosperous. Prospective. Quest. Spear. Look upon. Renounce. Rebellious. Rebellious. Apparent. Conscience. Conscience. Alien. Mentor. Impact. Urge. Ultimatum. surveillance, allegiance, retreat, tribulation, tribulation, immense, legend, armchair, okay students, all these words, new words which comes in a lesson, a tribute to Netaji. All these words you learn and practice at home. Okay students, this is the end of the session. We will continue with the grammar part in a next class. Thank you.